to say that the church is not supportive of people going through a divorce is blasphemous.
This episode is going to be called Mansplaining.
Yeah, seriously.
By Cardinals.
I've been trying to be so polite and quiet here, but I'm also like, what did I get baptized into? Because nobody told me about this Sasquatch LDS conspiracy theory.
I still don't feel like we debunked the animal sacrifice thing.
I just want to say, girls, this has been really fun, but also just like, this is the answer. I know the answer.
Could you imagine if like we actually drank alcohol? This is already super unhinged.
This is why we don't need
any help.
We don't need it.
If you want to believe in Sasquatch and you want your conspiracy theory, like, go for it.
If your husband was gone for a year, you could divorce him without him being there, like, no questions asked in Utah.
It was one of the most awful times of my life, but also one of the most special because it increased my testimony of our church tenfold.
All of the scriptural references used in this episode will be brought to you by scripturenotes.com. For a free trial to Scripture Notes, please visit the link in the description.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Women of Word Radio. I am Brittany the Shadow. Joining me in the studio is the lovely Megan. And on Zoom, we have the lovely Tikla and the lovely Erica. Today, we're going to be talking all about LDS lore. You know those things that just kind of keep going around through the generations and no one really knows where they originated or how to combat them? Here we go. Erica, will you want to start?
Okay, sure. So I thought we would start with kind of some more of like the fun ones that I've heard. Recently, I was talking to someone and she was telling me about how she was on Instagram and it's January. So, you know, with the new year, how it's like the year you turn 12, the boys get ordained to be a deacon and you don't have to wait till your birthday anymore.
Yeah.
So she was like, wait a second. So you're letting these like 11 and 12-year-old boys make decisions for the church? And I was like, no, where did you get that? And in her defense, I kind of get it because we call them deacons. And you know how in other Christian churches, the deacons are like higher up, like older men, and they are making decisions for the church.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard that one before? Because that one was new for me.
Not deacon,
well, I think,
but priests, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, I mean, all of the high priests are still deacons. Like, they still hold that office. It's just that's when you get it, is when you're young in our day. But yeah. I mean, I think we debunked it a little bit on the one episode we did where I was triggering feminists, where someone from, I think probably the Catholic Church had commented like, you should be confessing to a priest, not just a bishop. And
yes,
like,
that's what I heard. Yeah,
not to our priests. But so yeah, I think some even the name elder of our missionaries, I think, is confusing sometimes because it's like, but they're young. Why are they called elders?
Or the same like when we call each other sister, right? I remember like growing up, they were like, so you have nuns? And I'm like, no. Like, but like I didn't think of it because growing up in it, it is what it is.
I have a new deacon, guys.
So do
Don't
I.
you too?
Yeah. And Erica does.
Do we all?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I'm like having such a mom moment with deacons right now. And gratitude for the priesthood of the church and the whole organization, like all these great men who are rallying around my son, and
but also
just all the
thank
feels about
goodness that our 11-year-olds are not making decisions for the church.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what exactly does that mean when a little boy becomes a deacon? Like, does he get to say special prayers?
There's different responsibilities. The main one is that they're able to pass the sacrament every Sunday. And I think other ones are just, like fellowshipping.
They're supposed to take care of each other in their quorum.
Yeah.
Their quorum is a group of other boys their age. So they'd be turning 12 and 13. And so they look out for each other. They're like, we've got each other's backs. This is our group. And then they also have responsibilities to minister to the people in the ward. So look out for the ward members, make sure everybody's okay, look out for each other.
Yeah.
And
assist the bishop in temporal needs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
then they
saying.
collect fast offering when that's needed. So they can go and help collect that.
Do you guys still do that in your ward?
Only for a few people who are still
Holding
they still
on.
don't do it online, which I think is so
Yeah.
cool that they still get to do that. I mean, and there's some people who donate fast offering in our area who aren't even members. They just want to donate. And
Wow.
so the deacons can go and help out with that, which is kind of cool.
That's impressive because I don't think I've heard of non-members donating before.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I don't think it's
cool.
super common.
Yeah. Well, good for them.
Yeah, so that's deacons. And I mean, they give talks in church now.
Mhm.
So that's kind of fun. And they're part of the youth program. They start setting goals. Oh my goodness. Okay. So you guys all have, or two of you also have deacon. Have you guys looked at the new training videos for like how to run a quorum? Like okay. So by the
No.
time this comes out, my son will be called. So it's okay to say it. He got called as the Deacons Quorum president.
I love it.
He's so excited. He's so
Cool.
excited. And so he's been praying about who to call as his counselors. And like, it's just, I love it. So we went to watch the videos, the training videos on how to run and quorum and all that. I haven't been out of Young Women's for that long. So they've updated these recently. And I know Word Radio bags on the training videos all the time, or like not just the training videos, but like the Young Men program, like not being fun enough, not being masculine enough. Okay, let me just say the training videos right now, the updated new ones, are hilarious. They're so good. In fact, okay, I'm throwing this up in the Discord because I have to show you.
Are they meant to be funny or are they just funny because
They're meant to be
Good point.
entertaining. No, they're not cringy. Cringe level low. Like
Good.
good stuff. My 11-year-old boy was like, "Wait, can we watch another one? That was actually kind of fun." Like that's the level we're at here. So it's called. The first one is called "How to Set Goals to Be a Better Dude." That's literally in the official. Do you have it in the Discord? You can pull it up. I put it up there. And then it's like this super cool 12-year-old Matt who's like walking him through and like showing him and like all these little comedic bits. It's hilarious. We need to show it. Okay, see if you can play this video because it's so cute.
Hey, I'm Matt. Let's talk goals.
Sunglasses.
So, why do we even set goals? Because you want to be a better dude. Oh, yeah. We want to become more like Jesus. Luke 2:52, man. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man.
Okay, like skip to the middle. He's like
A
trying to
poster on
make
your
a
wall
cake and he's
points
like
to the gospel living in. Ding! Third, get to work. This is the fun part, guys. And it is work. Sometimes a lot of work. You didn't think that this would be a breeze, did ya? I brought you cupcakes.
Oh. We're actually gluten-free, lactose intolerant, vegan, sugar-free, and lacto-vegetarians. Bye.
Okay, keep going. Do I keep
okay,
going?
no, that's good. That's
Okay.
good. I just thought it was such an upgrade from what they had before, where it was just such a snore fest. These are so entertaining and cute. So if you have a young man, go check them out because they're really fun and entertaining. So that's all I have to say about that. Now we can get back to LDS lore. I just had to give a little shout out.
That's cute. Okay, so the other one that I've heard that we do animal sacrifices in the temple. And that a mission is required by all boys and girls. So I feel like this one is like tale as old as time. Everyone thinks it's like absolutely required.
The missions or the animal sacrifice?
Sorry. Actually, both. I've heard both of them, but I was talking about the missions being required.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I did not serve a mission.
Neither did I.
Neither did I.
Neither did I.
Wow, 4 for 4. What do you know? So debunked.
So
But,
I
okay.
mean, go ahead.
Okay, so then my hair girl and I were talking more, and she was like, you have to, because I was asking her, what are the things you've heard about Mormons that that you think are true or not true, but just that you've heard? And she said that if you are not LDS, you are not allowed into a church building at all.
Oh, sad.
And I thought that one was really sad. But I also, one Sunday, my daughter was singing in church, and I was telling my friend about it, and she was like, oh, I'd really like to come, but because I'm not LDS, like I can't come. And I was like, no, that's absolutely not true. Like you can.
So they're
And-
confusing the temple for the church buildings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because she and her husband worked in emergency services. And I don't know what the protocol is for this, but it was very interesting that she brought it up. So they got called to the temple on a 911 call, and they weren't allowed to go in. They brought the person out to like the front waiting area.
Oh, wow.
And had the paramedics work on him there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because, like, I get it, you have to have a recommend to go in, but like, what if there is an emergency? Like, what do? You just drag them to the front? Like,
So we do the pest control for the temple, and they don't allow, like, if they had like a cockroach infestation inside, we can't just bring our technician inside. They have to be endowed.
No kidding.
Yeah.
so that means
Wow.
that, like, if there's an emergency and the paramedics show up and none of them are endowed, like, I don't think they would just be like, oh, well, that's too bad. Like, have your heart attack and, like, we'll see you later.
No.
Right.
What?
Well,
Since this is
I'm
the off the record part, I'll just tell you so you girls know.
Oh, sorry.
The temple engineer is allowed to take anybody that's not an endowed member of the temple into the temple wherever he wants if he sees fit that it's an emergency. But oftentimes there's services going on, or just to kind of maintain the reverence of the institution, they don't take advantage of that unless it's totally necessary. So if some dude needed, an ambulance to take him away, if he was actively having a heart attack, they wouldn't stop people from bursting into the temple and saving his life. Most likely what happened is somebody fainted or passed out. They accompanied him to the lobby, and then the paramedics took care of it there. There's no reason to bring him into the celestial room or into the baptismal font. Like what? If somebody's drowning in the baptismal font, we're going to force the freaking firemen to, jump through the oxen in order to get there?
I mean, depends on how attractive the fireman is. I might.
Okay, all right.
And the story that I got was that he needed CPR. And so they brought him to the front of the
CPR.
whatever, and they were giving him CPR.
I can only imagine that they try to take precautions when they can, but if it's life-threatening, they're going to get people in there to save lives. I cannot imagine they'd be that crazy about it. But, I mean, I know that, like, the technicians and the workers that work inside and all of that, they have endowed members do those things who are certified and professionals. But
Yeah.
And that makes sense because, like you said, like maintaining the reverence and the sacredness. But so that's
you
why
just
she
don't really
thought
think about that, though.
I know.
I do remember worrying that I would go into labor in the temple, and then also thinking that would be kind of cool. So maybe
It is. I mean, this is very off topic, but it is shocking how many people I personally know that have had babies before they made it to the hospital.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
Valid fear.
I thought you were going to say in the temple. I was going to say
too.
lots. Like how many? Tell me more. I need to hear these stories.
And are
Not
you
in
in
the
charge of
temple.
replacing the carpet or what?
right. How would that be? No,
None of them in the temple, though.
few.
So, anyways,
I still don't feel like we debunked the animal sacrifice thing. We don't do
I mean,
that.
how do you debunk it? It's like, no,
We don't.
We don't.
The end. No. I think that part we also share in common with Christians of our time that was done away with at the sacrifice of the Lamb of Christ. So we now hearken back to his sacrifice rather than looking forward to it with animal sacrifice. So
Yeah. We don't do any animal sacrifices. But Kwaku actually let me know something that the Orthodox Jewish religion sacrifices chickens once a year.
Oh.
they fling around a chicken and then kill it. Right? Carden?
Wait, why do they fling it around?
I don't know. They like toss it, like cut off its head. I don't know. So
How?
there you
Where
go.
did he get this information?
I don't know.
Like I'm very
Wizard,
like take everything with a grain of salt because I
No.
know what people say about us, and
Yeah.
so
Right.
I'm
We don't want
always
to do the
very,
same
like,
thing to other people.
No,
that people are
it's
doing
like
that.
I fact checked. Like he's right. The Orthodox Jewish, once a year, I don't know why or what it's called, but they take a bunch of chickens, fling it around, cut off its head. I don't know. Like they sacrifice chickens.
Okay, I just put it on the screen. It is a real thing. It's kind of a Day of Atonement deal where an animal takes the sins of the community upon its shoulders and is sacrificed. And to kill a chicken, I believe it's called cervical dislocation. And so they wave it around by its neck to snap its neck.
Wait, probably not cervical, but maybe clavicle.
No, clavicle's this bone. Cervical is.
I was thinking
no,
something else.
You're right. Sorry, wait. Not cervical dislocation. No, not scapular. Not clavicle dislocation. You're right. That was really bad.
I was like, well, hold on there. Hold on.
Yeah, but if you girls Google ultra Orthodox Jews wave chickens above their heads in century-old kaparot ritual, it's basically, I believe, if I'm correct, that the is similar to animal sacrifice in days of old, that it's representative of the community's sins being transferred onto the chicken and the chicken being sacrificed.
So look, I don't want to be disrespectful, okay, but if you're coming at us for animal sacrifices, that's not us. The Orthodox Jews are killing chickens, all right?
Which I think is pretty cool. I think when religions hold on to their ancient traditions, it's admirable. So good on you, Orthodox Jews.
And if you happen to be an Orthodox Jew and a member of the Ward Radio family, please put us in check and correct
Help us
us
out
in the comments.
please.
Please do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to talk to somebody who is an active Orthodox Jew about that. I would like to hear their side too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, why a
So-
chicken, you know?
What?
Like, why choose a chicken?
Oh, why a chicken?
Like, why not like a worm, an ant, a chicken?
Cockroach.
I don't know. Moving on.
Moving on. Help us out here, Erica. What's next?
Oh my gosh. Okay. We're not allowed to use birth control, and we're forced to have as many children as possible.
I think you're thinking of the Catholics. Is that right? Is that still a thing for them?
Megan, do you know?
Oh, hi. I don't know. I don't know. I will. I don't know. I don't know. If you're Catholic and a member of the Ward Radio family, please comment below. Are you allowed to use birth
Help us
control?
below. That's not us.
I have several Catholic friends, and a lot of them do not use birth control. They use other methods, but they're not forced to have as many kids as they want. They're kind of like our faith, where like you're encouraged to have large families, and like family is a huge part of their religion, and so they have chosen to have 5-6 kids, and I think that's great. But yeah, like I said, most of them use other methods, and I don't know, I kind of feel like at the end of the day, like that's such a personal thing. Actually, not even I feel like, but the church has said that is between you, your spouse, and the Lord, and that like there isn't an official statement about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The church did put out, I put it in the Discord, there's a link to the church's statement about birth control. And it basically says that families are an essential part of the, you know, our lives here, and da 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 da. But it says it says decisions about birth control and the consequences of those decisions rest solely with each married couple. It does, however, obviously says that elective abortion as a method of birth control is contrary to the commandments of God. So
That one we do take a hard line on.
yeah, I mean,
And I do think that generally we're discouraged from permanent birth control type things without really thinking it through. Like really think this through, really understand what you're doing, and before going on down that path. But even then, it's up to the spouses and God.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go flaunt around to everybody what goes on in my house regarding that stuff. So like, why does it, why do people feel like they can ask about that for the whole religion?
Well, I think people like having guidance. So I don't know that they're necessarily curious in order to make fun of us, but they might just want to know what are your guiding principles on this, or what do your wise people say about this? Because I know sometimes it's nice to have some direction. I like to check the handbook every once in a while on personal decisions. Just like, is there a stand? Does the church have a stand on this? And then make it a point of study for myself too. So, but it's good to set
I
the
don't
record
think
straight.
I've ever opened up the handbook.
Oh, it's fun.
I'm kind of just like
No?
flying by the seat
I'm
of my
such a
pants in this. I
nerd.
don't know. Yeah. Maybe
Little
I
light
should.
reading.
Yeah. All right.
Another one that was kind of fun was if you have tattoos or multiple ear piercings, you get kicked out,
Ew.
which is kind of like a cultural, that one I see where they get it. It's like that. Remember back in the 90s where we were discouraged from tattoos and multiple piercings and stuff? But like, I don't really care. If someone walks in with tattoos all over, like, it doesn't faze me.
Yeah.
Anyone
Oh, yeah.
else?
This was a Hinckley era thing.
Mhm.
I think it was we've talked about this on the show before, but it was in the For Strength of Youth pamphlet as a guideline to avoid, which back when that came out, no one had tattoos. Can I just say, like, very few people had tattoos. It was not like super mainstream like it is now. And so I think it was kind of just a caution, like, this is going to become really mainstream. Just be aware, be wise. And now I think it's much less a symbol of rebellion and far more something that people take really seriously and use to represent meaningful things to them. And so I don't know. I think the purpose for it has changed. Kind of like the beard thing. Like back when drug culture was associated with beards, I feel like the church kind of took a hard stance on dress code with beards.
Yeah.
And now that that's not really an association, I feel like it's calming down, and it's just these are these kind of changeable things that are not doctrine. They're just guidelines or things that unify us for a season.
Yeah.
But they change with the times because what they symbolize changes.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I was gonna say I have a tattoo. It's probably everyone has seen it. It's on my arm, and it's very special and meaningful to me. And can I just say, after I got my tattoo, not one member said a negative comment about it to me. I never have felt ostracized. No one's ever said anything to me. Like, it's not a thing. So this thing that, like, we're not allowed, like, we'll be kicked out, like, false. Debunked. Moving on. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it can be used as a form of rebellion, but like it's not always.
Yeah.
It just
Right.
isn't. So, okay. So the next one is fun. It's that Cain is Sasquatch and that we believe in Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Anybody?
The Pacific Northwest totally believes in Sasquatch. I mean, he's everywhere here. Bigfoot is in the airport gift shop where I'm from here. So I don't know.
I mean, are there people that don't believe in Bigfoot? Like, they're weird. They're the weird ones. If you don't believe in it.
Call me weird, guys.
You don't believe in
I've
Bigfoot?
seen some teenage boys that are a little lanky.
Yeah.
But
Well, I thought it was
you guys
kind
are
of fun.
believers?
Well, I just thought it was a
100%.
fun story. And like, I love going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, but I also, that doesn't mean that I believe all of them. But the reason, where it came from is that there was like a story written way, way, way back.
In
it
the
was kind of
wild,
like,
wild west.
and it was kind of like this guy told this guy that told this guy that told this guy that told this guy that they saw Sasquatch and like had a conversation, and he said that he was Cain. And we had a set of missionaries over for dinner, and we were talking about it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, my grandfather like said that like he has seen Sasquatch and it is Cain, and that there is no denying it, and da 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 da." And so I am like, if you want to believe in Sasquatch and you want your conspiracy theory, like go for it, and I will like I want to know all about it. But it's not a Mormon doctrine.
I was about to say,
Sasquatch.
I've been trying to be so polite and quiet here, but I'm also like, what did I get baptized into? Because nobody told me about this Sasquatch LDS conspiracy theory. Like,
I can't
what?
with this. Oh my goodness.
Carry on. I'm learning.
I think it's fun.
I'm taking notes about what I signed up for. Because this is bonkers.
No, this is nothing.
I totally believe in Bigfoot. If he's Cain, I don't know. But I mean, come on, guys. We believe in like there was a sword and plates out of a hill. Like it's not that crazy to think Sasquatch could be Cain.
I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm just saying it's not a Mormon doctrine.
Correct. It's not a doctrine,
Right?
but it should be.
And also, you're crazy. A little bit crazy.
I've heard worse.
When did it Sasquatch first and then Bigfoot, or was it Bigfoot and then Sasquatch? Like what?
I've
what
only
is
heard
Sasquatch.
I don't know. I've only heard Bigfoot, and then I've heard Sasquatch. Like growing up, I always thought it was Bigfoot, and then somehow it turned to Sasquatch. But I think Sasquatch, isn't that like the name of the mountains? Isn't it the Sasquatch Mountains? I have no idea. Carter's laughing at me, so maybe not.
Wait, so what do you call it? You guys call him Bigfoot?
I call it Bigfoot because that seems
I
happier.
mean, both, but why? It's such a specific name.
Yeah,
Could you
Sasquatch.
imagine if like we actually drank alcohol? Like, this is already super unhinged.
This is why we don't need it.
any
We don't need it. We're already
Okay,
nuts.
I'm Googling before
dear.
my phone dies.
Maybe this story originated before the word of wisdom was revealed.
Girls, what am I going to do with this? We've got Brittany, whose phone battery is running out, to try and figure out the difference between the indigenous names Sasquatch and Bigfoot. We've got a
You're not
convert
used to
here
this on the
who's
Women's
thinking
Show.
that she just got baptized into a faith where Sasquatch is Cain. And like she does not understand that this is like pioneer folklore gone crazy, and nobody knows the answer how to contextualize it.
Okay. Look, I was wrong. There are no mountains called Sasquatch. I don't know where I thought of
Yeah,
that.
you're right, because there's no mountains called Sasquatch.
Okay,
So
but
then why is he called Sasquatch?
okay, because
I think that's an Indian name for Bigfoot, just like in
stop.
Nepal
Okay.
they call it the abominable snowman. Just
Wizard,
like it.
quiet. This is why he's called
is not-
Sasquatch. It's a name that comes from the Halkomelem word Sasquatch, which means wild man or hairy man. The term was coined in the 1930s by J.W. Burns, an Indian agent for the Chehalis band. I butchered all those words.
Wait,
But
1930s.
yeah.
It's more
Well, there you
recent
have
than
it.
I thought.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, and by the way, before you go further, girls, it's in the catechism that Catholics shouldn't use birth control. It's actually been said ex cathedra, which means from the chair by the Pope. So it's actually Catholic doctrine not to use the prevention of insemination in terms of your family planning. So that's why traditionally Catholic Irish families were so large, was because supposedly you weren't supposed to use contraception, and that's where
Okay.
the whole generalization
Well,
comes from,
you're
right?
supposed to be quiet.
Isn't that what I said?
I was gonna say, I think we're on.
Sorry, Brittany.
This episode is gonna be called "Mansplaining"
Yeah, seriously.
by Cardinals.
Like, let me believe in Sasquatch mountains, okay?
That's right.
Wait, but genuinely, is what I said wrong then? Because isn't that what I said?
Okay, maybe we just need to start over this episode. I don't know. Carden's making me feel like
I'm
an
sorry.
idiot.
This was not a good idea.
I'm liking it.
I'm like,
I just need Carden to be
I'm
quiet.
loving it.
Let's do it.
Where did the horns thing come from?
Oh. Okay.
Ooh,
Great
horns.
question.
People would
I
ask me
have
all
no
the time
idea.
in school, like, oh, did you
Oh,
cover up
yeah.
your horns today? And I'm like, oh, you're an idiot, and I'd walk away. But like,
Yeah, or like straight up in elementary school, I got, "You're not a Mormon. You don't have horns." I
yeah.
was like, "What are you talking about?" Little like 8-year-old me, so confused.
Yeah. Or like, how
I don't
many
know where that came
moms
from.
do you have?
How many moms do you have?
Yeah, people would ask me that because of polygamy. I'm like,
I did get asked one time. I was doing an internship, and this guy found out that I was LDS, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my aunt is a fundamentalist," and I didn't really know how to respond to that, and I was just like, "All right." cool.
Yeah.
That's a totally different situation.
Another one also is also like you're not allowed to do anything on Sunday, right? Where it was like growing up, people thought I was like, I don't know, knitting my own bonnet or something on a Sunday. And because we're supposed to keep the Sabbath day holy, which that's not even just our religion. If you believe in the 10 Commandments, it's right in there. So I don't know why that becomes such a weird thing that Mormons can't do anything on Sunday. It's just, I don't know. I kind of see that going less and less, though. I think people, I don't think it's as big of a deal as people think. I don't know.
Well, and I think we're getting some people who find it are impressed with it. Like, oh, you guys actually do keep the Sabbath day. That's cool.
Yes.
Like, I like that. I'm for that. I'm into that.
Yeah, I've even had some people say like, I want to try that, or like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, we're just so busy. We have sports and we're going crazy. During the week and on Saturdays, and oh, that'd be so nice to take a day off. And I'm like, yeah, it's a commandment.
I will say that we're not, like, growing up, it was very strict. Like, we went to church on Sunday where they were only allowed to watch certain movies. We were not allowed to see our friends. Like, my parents were very strict about it. And sometimes it was annoying, sure, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And it was kind of nice to like have a day off. But like now that I'm a parent, we have kind of adapted that to like what keeping the Sabbath day holy looks like to us. Like, yeah, we're not having play dates willy-nilly on Sundays, and some people do, and that's fine. But like we're not the family who's like, oh no, you have your baseball tournament on Sunday, like we're not going to participate. Like we will go and do like those big things. Like 2 of my kids performed in the Nutcracker this Christmas, and it was on a Sunday. And like I would have preferred that it was on a different day, sure, but I wasn't going to tell them no. And I felt like for personal reasons that you can't, that it was fine. You know what I mean?
Well, and so many things now are really getting turned back to people. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, in context of like the tightness of rules versus loose rules, and how I think over time it's really natural for the rules of any organization or even family or church to kind of get more strict, more longer and longer and more intense. And so I think it's really, special that the church does kind of these waves of like, here's some guidance. Okay, now we're going to back way off. Now remember, you're actually the ones in charge here. You are actually in charge of your own life. And so I think we're in a phase where the church is really backing off. Like, no, don't be putting it on the church for what you're going to decide to do. This is a personal decision. This is what you are choosing. Yeah. And so it's kind of an exciting time to be a member, because that's happening with the youth program. It's happening with the Sabbath. That is a big President Nelson one right there. Making this Sabbath a delight, however that works for you, or like you make that decision. Yeah. And so it's a fun time to be alive. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have the stuff about horns, but I feel like we finally got to a good place. Okay, here's what the AI overview says. This is so great. No, Mormons do not have horns. The idea that Mormons have horns is a myth. Some people also believe that Mormons have tails, but this is also a myth.
Well, that's good to
where
know.
It came from?
I think it sounds like the devil. We're devilish. We worship the devil, so we have horns and a tail. That's so bad. So bad.
Sorry, I have a visitor. Hold on.
Hi, visitor.
Okay, by the way, just so you know, in political cartoons in the 1800s, they used to show sex, power, and otherism, especially racial otherism, by the use of horns. So oftentimes Mormon polygamists, Mormons, religious fanatics, black people, Asians would be represented negatively with horns, unlike the positive horns of Renaissance these were negative ones. And because they were trying to vilify the state of Deseret and Brigham Young in this empire of the West, they would oftentimes show up with horns in political cartoons because they were other. And believe it or not, they used to say that Mormons were a different race, just like they justified racism towards American Indians and racism towards blacks by racializing their identity. They actually wrote entire treatises on how Mormons were a literal different race, and that included in some of these people's suppositions that Mormons had horns, and that existed in the evangelical zeitgeist to the modern day.
Interesting.
So in case you just want to say that and fake that you didn't hear it from me, I'm editing myself out of this. But this has been really hard to watch. I just want to say, girls, this has been really fun, but also just like, this is the answer. I know the answer. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Okay. Well, I just heard. No. I just read in my spare time. Let's talk about
You gotta
divorce.
keep it in there, Carden. This will just be the mansplaining episode
Yeah.
of Word Radio Women.
No, I have to edit myself out. I'm just like, whoa, my goodness gracious.
Maybe in my next life I'll come back as a man.
Oh.
Speaking of men and horns, let's talk about divorce. So, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Golden segue.
So what's the lore about divorce, Erica?
Sorry, I'm trying to get my 5-year-old out
Oh.
of the screen.
No worries.
Okay, so I want to preface this with I have never been divorced, but I can speak as somebody who has, I don't know, interacted with people who have been divorced in the church, and I have siblings who have been divorced and friends and all sorts of things. But I stumbled across this Instagram reel. And this girl and her husband are talking about marriage and divorce, and she is so cute. And I don't think she's bashing the church, but what she says, I really actually enjoyed.
If I didn't know divorce was an option. We grew up in a really strict religion, and divorce is not an option in that religion. And I never subscribed to that because for me, it says I can treat you however I want to, and I can do whatever I want, but you're stuck and you can't go anywhere. Divorce is an option to me. I can't treat you like crap and you can't treat me like crap. And we can't have an affair or be physically, emotionally, mentally abusive and expect the other person to stick around. One of our sayings here is no one's a prisoner. And so it's kind of reassuring every day that like you're choosing to be with me and you know I'm choosing to be with you, because anytime either one of us can get up and leave if we're not happy or we don't feel like the other person is giving the respect that we deserve.
Absolutely. And I think it took me a while to understand that concept because of the way we were brought up. Because I'm like, how could you say that? I've come to realize that if you're not being treated with respect or you're not doing that for your partner, why would you tell your daughter, our own kids in the same situation, like, why would you stick around for somebody that does that to you?
Okay, so why, like, but here's the thing. So obviously she was like, in our religion, divorce is not an option. That's not true. Divorce is
Not true.
But I like what she had to say after that, where she's like, you can't treat each other like crap and just expect them to have to stay. Like, why would we be a part of a religion that was like, oh, you just have to stay no matter what, and that's just too bad.
Yeah. I mean, she's making it seem
Wow.
like she's so erudite now, and she's in her relationship now because she truly wants to be, whereas when she was a Mormon, that was not the case because she was stuck in a loveless marriage. That's basically what she's saying, right? Is that what you guys heard?
Well, this is so funny to me sometimes with this stuff because it's not just not true that we don't believe in divorce. It's like the opposite in the best way. Like early in Utah's history, this is like Brigham Young days, Orson Pratt was Speaker of the House and instituted like the most liberal divorce laws in the country for the state of Utah, especially for women. So if your husband was gone for a year, you could divorce him without him being there, like no questions asked in Utah. Like the divorce law for Utah women was so liberal that it was, and it was for this very purpose she's talking about, like so that the men had a really high standard for treatment of their women, of their wives, because that was really important. So I think from our history, it's super, super important that men treat their women well, because we don't have to stick around if we're not being treated properly. But at the same token, we do value marriage very highly. So having a good marriage is a high value. So don't bail on it if you can save it. But
Right.
That's true. Now, I hate the fact that I'm the spokesperson for being a divorced member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I prayed whether or not I should even share this story, but it's very, very, very critical for me to share it respectfully to prove to all the naysayers that our church is exceptionally supportive of people who choose to end their marriage. Disclaimer time. I'm not trying to put my ex-husband on blast. I'm not trying to drag his name just for kicks and giggles. What I'm about to share, the story involving him, is probably 10% of this bigger issue. So when I realized that my marriage was over, it took a lot of strength and time and tears to convince my estranged husband to move out. Fast forward a couple of weeks, I'm sitting in Sacrament, minding my own business, and I didn't tell anybody for pride reasons. We were sealed in the temple, and people knew us as a married couple, so I wasn't saying anything. But then I'm minding my own business, and in he walks, all 6 feet 5 inches, walks in and sits right next to me, and I saw red. I thought I was going to pass out. I'm like, what are you doing here? And here's why this was just so bad, because he moved back in with his parents who lived an hour away. There was no reason for him to be at Sacrament. And I remember him saying to me, you are my wife. This is my church. I can have Sacrament here. You need to humble yourself because you're trying to ruin this marriage. Okay, fun. So I look at him shaking. I'm like, if you want to stay for Sacrament, you are welcome to. I'm going to leave. Again, I don't want anybody to know what's going down. I get up. Sasquatch gets up behind me, follows me into the parking lot, and proceeds to say some of the most gut-wrenching, awful, disgusting things to me. And not only that, but he wouldn't let me close my door to drive off. And I was just praying that nobody would see, that nobody would come out. And I just tried to stay quiet. And it was a miserable, miserable encounter. So I go home and I text my bishop and I say, hey, so real quick, so-and-so decided to show up. We're going through a divorce. It was totally uncalled for. Some things went down in the parking lot. I'm not going to be coming to church anymore because I don't want to have that happen to me again. This man, who is in charge of hundreds of people and his own family, calls me and says, Megan, real quick, that's not going to happen. This is your home. We're going to take care of you. And not only that, but then he proceeds to say, not sure if you know this, but there are 2 sheriffs in the ward. They have concealed weapons on them. I'm going to make sure that they walk you to and from your car without you even knowing about it. And I'm going to make sure that they keep an eye on you where you sit in your pew. So already I have 3 people who completely have my back in the most respectful way possible. And it gets even better. Then my bishop says, by the way, if you're interested, I will set you up with an LDS marriage counselor. And I said, Bishop, with all due respect, this is over. Like I'm done. And he said, okay, got it. So I support you. But perhaps this 3rd person will help your soon-to-be ex-husband understand what's going on. So I have private security. I have a mediator. All of this came from my bishop, who wanted to make sure I still felt comfortable coming to church. He didn't have to do any of this. And when we were done with the marriage counseling part, I later found out through the grapevine, paid out of pocket for my soon-to-be ex-husband to continue to go to therapy. Like, to say that the church is not supportive of people going through a divorce is blasphemous, and it's disgusting. And I could not have made it through that horrible experience if it wasn't for the people at church. And P.S., shout out to the family, who I really want to say their name, but I'm trying to keep this slightly confidential. Someone else found out what was going on and texted me her garage code and said, honey, come through the garage anytime you need to and go up into the guest room, no questions asked. When I say this family embraced me and protect me, it was one of the most awful times of my life, but also one of the most special because it increased my testimony of our church tenfold.
That's amazing. I'm sorry you had to go
debunked.
through that, but that's amazing.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah.
It's all good. Onward and upward.
Yeah.
I love to hear that, like you said, like the bishop paid out of his pocket
Yes.
to help him.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, like there was no stigma, I guess, or you felt like there wasn't a stigma behind you guys getting divorced.
Absolutely. And I also, this could be edited out if need be. I would be remiss if I didn't also add that getting sealed in the temple was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. The blessings, the sacredness of the space, it was so, so beautiful. But also, we believe in people's agency. And people make choices, and then you get to decide how you react to that. So our church is just inherently very supportive of you just trying to be the best version of you. And I also wanted to share this in case somebody is listening and they're going through something similar and they don't want to share it because they're afraid of being shunned. They're afraid of being judged. Text your bishop. Start there. You'll be surprised how many resources there are just waiting to help people. But because we're such a cool group of people, we don't advertise it really. But there's a ton of resources to help. So if you need help, the church has your back.
I think no matter where you go, unfortunately, there's going to be judgy people, like
Facts.
inside the church, outside the church. And so I'm not discrediting people who maybe did get divorced and they felt like they were judged for it. But like we're taught to love one another and to help where we can and lift each other up, not to ever bring them down for something like that. Because I talked to a couple people that I know about divorce, and I was like, hey, give me your honest feedback about how you felt at church or how your ward treated you after you got divorced. And I talked to 3 people, and all 3 of them gave very positive experiences. One even said that they were in 2 wards while they were going through their divorce, and that it more than anything, they got so much support and love, and people were coming and helping with kids, brought meals, were serving. It wasn't even like okay, well, if you need any help, let me know. People were just offering to help in any way that they could while they were going through this hard time.
I was gonna say, Eric, I love like not just saying like, oh, let me know if there's anything I can do. I love, Megan, in your story that woman was like, here's my garage code, and didn't just say, hey, if you need me, I'm around, right? Because that's kind of, it puts the pressure on you to think of something that you need help with when you're going through something traumatic and you're like, I don't even know what day of the week it is, like, but I know I need help, you know?
Right.
So yeah, maybe like start there, like text your bishop, ask for help, and then also be that person too, you know, if roles were reversed, and, you know, goes out to all the people watching too, to take the initiative and honestly, like, be in a state of mind where the Spirit can talk to you so that you can be an instrument in his hands and know how to help your fellow brothers and sisters.
Yeah. I think that's really hard though, just in general, like when people are going through something, no matter what it is, and I want to help, but like I don't know what to just offer right off the bat. So that's when and everyone has good intentions when they say like, oh, just let me know what you need. But you're right, it does put pressure on them.
Yeah.
But it would be great to be like, okay, I know that they need their kids picked up or they need meals, so I'm just going to offer that exactly. So
yeah. And everyone loves baked goods. I'm just saying.
Right.
If you show up at my door with a brownie, I'm not going to turn you away.
That's true. But yeah, there have been so many statements that church leaders have made that they encourage us to try and work it out and to do our best to date for as long as we can to get to know the other person. But when it really boils down to it, they don't want us in an unhappy relationship or an abusive marriage or anything like that. And so they're not going to just force you to stay together.
Yeah.
So
Debunked.
I love what you said, Megan, about the sealing being really special. And I think, I don't know if we want to get into this in this episode or not. So cut me off if we want to go a different direction. But I do think it's an interesting, I haven't experienced this, so I don't know what it would be like to have a sealing that ultimately is sealing me back to God and the family of God, but that is associated with somebody I'm no longer with. And not everybody gets a cancellation of sealing when they get divorced. You can, but I've heard also that there's recommendations that you keep your sealing because it's not about that person who's no longer in your life. It's about your sealing to the family of God. It's to God. And so I don't know if, Megan, you have thoughts on that.
Thanks for asking.
Put you on the spot.
No, it's all good. That's why I'm here. When all of this was going down, I mentioned it to my bishop and it was on the to-do list. But there were so many other things to get done and make sure I was safe that it's still on my adult to-do list to cancel that sealing. And to be perfectly honest, I'm totally at peace with however it turns out. It's one of those things that I just categorize under faith. I don't exactly understand how the administrative office in heaven works when it comes to all this, but I do know that God has had my back throughout the entire process. So whether on paper I'm still sealed to this family or I'm not, I'm okay. Personally, not to take away from anybody else's situation.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think, I do think those blessings that are promised are still promised to you and anyone in your situation, which is potentially a source of comfort in a time of grief and hardship. So,
All right. Well, that was an episode. If you stuck with us this far, you are a true supporter of Word Radio. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. I learned Sasquatch mountains are not a thing, but Sasquatch is. And I've also learned that we don't sacrifice animals, but some people might still. And then also Megan, just like spiritual giant in here, just closing it out. Like, this was awesome. Love you guys. Love you. Most of you in the comments. Check us out, wordradio.com.